Typesafe Markdown might sound like it's imaginary, but with Astro content collections, we can get that today. I'm going to show you how. What's up, friends? I'm Jason Langsdorf. Let's go learn something. So as of January 2023, Astro hit 2.0. That introduces a whole lot of new features, which I'm not going to cover in this video, but I am going to talk about content collections. Now, content collections is something that allows us to define the schema of a markdown post and do validation, type safety, and my favorite thing, autocomplete for any markdown collection that you put inside of your Astro site. So let's go build a site and see how it works. First thing we're going to do is we are going to make a new Astro site. So we're going to run npm create Astro, and I'm going to call this Astro content collections. I'm going to use an empty project. I want to be focused on the content collections themselves and not anything else. Next up, we're going to move into this folder. I'm using the 2.0 beta, but I have been assured by the core team that nothing between the beta now and what launches in 2.0 stable is going to change. So you're safe to watch this and continue using it throughout the lifecycle of Astro 2.0. I'm going to hop in here and do an npm run dev. That's going to start our site, open a new tab and go to localhost 3000. We can see here's our site running. All right, so if I open this up in my code editor, we are going to see the structure of the site. We've got a basic index.astro is the source. We've got a favicon and we've got our Astro config, which is just the defaults. And that's all. We're running Astro 2.0 as our only dependency. So I'm going to set up a layouts folder and I'm going to create one called default.astro. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this in. This is all the styles we need, including all of the base header and footer markdown for this to look like a presentable site. I'm going to go into the index.astro and I'm going to update that. We're going to have our base styles. We're going to have an H1 and a section here where we're going to end up putting those posts, and we wrap it all in our layout so that it looks the way that we want it to look. I'm going to run npm run dev, and that's going to open this up again. So now we can see here is our base blog. We've got the layout applied. We've got our header, and this is a spot where the blogs are going to go. The next thing we need to do is actually set up our content collection. We're going to go into our source folder. I'm going to create a new file in the content folder, and we have a config.ts. This is a new part of the content collections API. It's going to give us the ability to tell Astro what our schema should be for any markdown that we're going to write. We would export const collections, and that's going to be an empty object. So that's the default config. I want my typings to be working here. So I'm going to actually run npx astro sync. Now this will happen automatically when you run Astro dev. If you want to be extra sure, or like me, you're just trying to show how it works, you can run this astro sync command to make it happen manually. Inside of this file, we are now going to import define collection and a Z helper, which is Zod. Now, if you're not familiar with Zod, Zod is a TypeScript first schema validation library. We can tell applications what we want the schema of something to be. Zod gives us the ability to describe that with an easy API and validate it. In the case of Astro, all we need to do is define it. Astro will handle the rest, and that's what makes this all so dang fun. So the first thing that we do is we define the collection with a property name. So we're going to call ours blog because that's what we're doing. And then we call define collection. And inside here, we pass in an object. This is going to be our config. So the first bit that we want to do is set up our schema. So inside the schema, what this means is that we are going to tell Astro what is allowed and not allowed inside of our Astro content metadata. And this is going to be the markdown front matter specifically that we're designing. So for a blog post, we are going to have an object of front matter. I want to have whether or not it's a draft. We want to have the date, the title, a slug, category, tag. For social media sharing, I want to have more fields, an image for sharing, a customizable title, because sometimes you want to write a more SEO friendly title, and a description. So this is going to be what we want our front matter to allow, right, is this collection of fields. So let's look at how Zod makes that work. You already saw me use z.object. For the schema definition, you do z dot and then the type that you want. So I want a Boolean. For the date, z.date. The title to be a string. I want the slug to also be a string. The category we want to be an enum. I only want two categories on this blog. One of them is going to be food, and the other one is going to be wisdom. Now for tags, what we're going to do is make an array of strings by putting a Z array around a Z string. For the share, that's also an object. For the image, it's going to be a URL, but that starts out as a string. For the title, we want that to be a string. For the description, we want that to be a string as well. We're not done yet. The draft, if I don't include this, I want my site to assume that the site is publishable. I'm just going to say if you don't set it, it's not a draft. It's publishable. For the date, we can't actually put a date object into Markdown front matter. So we're going to use the transform helper. That gives us a string. We're just able to take that and turn it into an actual JavaScript date object just like that. And this is one of the really nice things about Zod. Even if the limitation of the file format like Markdown doesn't allow us to use a date, using this transform, we can make sure that what we get into our code is the format that we want. Now the title we want to be required. The slug though, we want to be optional. The tags we also want to be optional. Now for the share object, I want to make sure that these fields and only these fields are returned. So I'm going to set this to be strict. And what that means is if you put in a field other than image title description, we will get an error. But I don't want to require an image. So if we save this, we now have a fully functional blog schema. Now we can start pulling that content collection in and actually using it to generate our pages. So this is our home page, and I want this to become my list of posts. Astro provides this get collection method from Astro content. Astro content gets generated through that Astro sync or your Astro dev command, and it gives us these helpers. Get collection is how we reference these collections that we've defined. We'll await get collection blog. And now I want to display these. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to just drop them right in. And as you can see, nothing has happened. And that's because we don't have any posts yet. So let's create our first post. I'm going to just copy paste in a post here. Now we can see that we've got an object. Let's map over our posts, posts.map. And for each one of those, we're going to get a post, return an article for each one. Inside of it, we now have autocomplete. This is what's in our piece. And so data is where all of our custom schema front matter lives. So if I go in here and hit data dot, it's going to show me all of those fields that we just defined. All right, so let's style this thing up. An H2, an A tag. Our path here is going to be /blog and then the slug of the post. And if we type post and dot, we get the slug. To use the title, we're going to do post data. We can just come right on down here to our title. And if we save, here it is. We'll do a p tag, post.data.share.description. Check this out. I go post.data. And you see how slug here has this question mark? That means it's optional. It might not be set. And the same with share.image, might not be set. So we get all of those different pieces set for us. That is pretty dang exciting. And you can see that this is starting to come together. We're going to set up a p tag, an a tag. We're going to link again to this. We'll just copy that straight across. A full post with an HTML entity to show an arrow. And that is our homepage. This isn't going to work yet because we haven't built the individual blog pages. If I click this, we get a 404. So the next thing we're going to do is build those blog pages. So because we don't want to have to create a separate page in our source directory for each blog post, we're going to use Astro's dynamic routes. We're going to create a blog folder, and then inside of that, slug.astro, and we've enclosed the slug in square brackets. And what that's going to do is tell Astro that the slug is a variable. So this is not a tutorial on how to use dynamic paths. The docs are great for that. I have the header and the footer of the article here. Everything is hard-coded. Get static paths currently set up with just one test page that's going to be at /blog/test. I can come over here and go to blog test, and we see what we want our blog post to look like. The next thing we need to do is we need to pull in our content collection to build out our posts. We're going to come in here and bring in, we want get collection again. And then we also want collection entry, which is a type that we're going to use. And that comes in from Astro content. Inside of our get static paths, we are going to load our posts again and await of get collection, and we want the blog. Underneath, we're going to change out this selection to be posts. So now we are pulling in our real blog post data. We still want to send in the post slug, and then we're going to send in the post as props. We'll have access to it in the page. The first thing we want to do is set up an interface so that we have that autocomplete, because you really want that autocomplete. We want to use this collection entry that we pulled in, and we're just going to tell Astro that we want to use the blog. And you may have noticed when I went to set this that it knows what the potential collections are. And this is just one of those things that's really handy about using TypeScript, is the autocomplete. It just makes your life so much easier when you're working in an IDE like VS Code. So we'll pull in post from astro.props. So with the post, we also want to get out the content. And so far, we've only looked at how frontmatter works. To get the content, we have the ability to just await post.render, and I'm going to get the content out of it. And the content is a component that will let us drop in the content like that. And then for this, we're going to do the post.data and then .title, post, data, share, description. Down here for the tags, we're going to set up post.data.tags map over that. We want to return a list item with the tag inside. Once we've saved this, if we go back to our home page and click through to our cheese post, now it's loading our whole cheese post. We have the title, we've got the description in here, we can see the content of the post, here are our tags. So we now have it, we've done it. This is our functioning blog, we've got type safety, we've got defined schema and frontmatter, and where that's really gonna come in to benefit us is that when we go to add new posts, we're gonna get that feedback that we want. So let's go ahead and create a second post. This one is going to be called Good Advice. You can see it's already saying we're missing required frontmatter, and I'm gonna save. And it's still not happy. Ooh, okay, let's read the error. So the front matter is invalid. It says that the front matter does not match collection schema. Category is required. Well, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I missed it. So if I come in here and I say category, and maybe I'll make the category ideas, it's going to fail again because we said that we only allow 2 categories. We allow food and wisdom. So I'm going to change this to be wisdom. And there we go. Now we've got another post in and everything is working, and we have built a content collection powered Astro blog. Content collections in Astro are excellent. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, all those good things, and we'll see you next time.